Speaking of gay people, let's talk about Cary Grant.
Yeah, was Cary Grant gay? Oh, was he really? Oh, come on. A guy that good looking in Hollywood was gay?
It's hard to believe.
It's hard to believe. Richard, so this year has been what's the word? A complete and utter fucking nightmare. And somehow I have kind of chafed at the idea of doing Christmas movies ever again, since we already did them like a long time ago. Because it's not that I don't like Christmas, but I kind of don't like Christmas. Halloween is my holiday. And so when you were like, I'm going to give you a month of the year to do, and you were like, I'm going to do Christmas movies, I was like, oh God, no. And now with my life, at some point I'll be able to talk about it here. Legally, I'll be able to talk about it, but I can't yet. But again, my life this year has been pretty rough. So doing Christmas movies in Christmas time this year is like double fuck you. Especially this movie, Richard. Thanks. Thanks, Adam.
Christmas movies like Christmas make you reflect.
Right.
Okay, there are people who have movie watching traditions, certain holidays, they watch certain movies. But I think we can all agree that at Christmas time, you do tend to watch, I'm going to watch A Christmas Story. I'm going to watch...
Well, that's because you're a Kolchak fan.
Well, no. I'm the one who watches it. You know what I mean?
No, you're not, but you mentioned the one with Darren McGavin first. I see what you're doing there.
Well, I'm trying to mention one that is universally recognized in the modern era.
What is? Give me another one post Christmas Story. I think this is an interesting way to begin this month.
Oh, I'll give you one. We're going to talk about it later. Elf.
Oh my God. Yes. I think Elf is the best example, right?
Yeah.
I don't think there's been one since Elf.
Well, here's what's interesting. What's happened with the Christmas movie industry is that now it's not about one movie. It's about an entire wallpapering of a network.
Oh, the Hallmark Channel, you mean? You mean a Touchdown Love or whatever, a Chiefs love story? Have you seen that one? There is a love story based in Kansas City around the football team, the Chiefs, and it's called Touchdown for Love or something. I mean, that's how far they've gone, by the way.
And I get it. What they're doing
Holiday Touchdown is what it's called.
It's almost like a radio station that on Thanksgiving night starts playing Christmas music.
And so Mariah Carey has been heard across the land.
Tonight.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, I mean, it's that fucking Mariah Carey song for me. That's the big trigger point for me.
Well, there is a way that people consume, God forbid I say the word content now, but it's not that they want to watch one movie that's my favorite movie. They want the Hallmark Channel and they want endless iterations on a theme of, two people falling in love in a small town around Christmas time.
Right.
And I think Hallmark figured out we're not trying to make the perfect one. We're trying to make 1,000 of them.
Right.
And people want it just sort of playing in the background while they clean their house, wrap their gifts. And they're not really even watching it that hard because the plots aren't that important. And I'm not criticizing. I didn't realize, but this is sort of a new kind of narrative. A friend of ours, a woman named, there were a couple. There was Rachel Boston and then an actor named Daniel D. Tomaso. They were both on Witches of East End. I know them both. I'm friends with them both. And I guess it was Daniel who did one of these movies. So we were like, we'd seen Rachel's and we're like, let's watch Daniel's. And I'm like, wait a second, there's no conflict in this movie. And Susan's like, yeah, that's the point.
Yeah, it's very wholesome. It's wholesome beyond belief.
Well, but what's interesting, it's not just wholesome. We're not even going to create false anxiety for you to have to worry about a thing at any point in the narrative, which is so bizarre.
Is it though? I mean, I guess from a traditional storytelling standpoint, but wouldn't you then concede no, I guess children's programming, conflict is part of children's programming to teach them how to deal with conflict resolution in a healthy way. At least current children's programming is.
Yeah.
We can't speak for the Turtles. They solved their problems with sticks and size. I mean, the Turtles did say don't do cocaine, but to your point, there's an expectation with the Hallmark stuff where it's going to be wholesome beyond belief, probably to a sickeningly saccharine level, right?
And
nothing wrong with it.
Look, I'm turning the word wholesome over in my mind, and I'm like, well, is it wholesomeness or is it simply reassuring? Just sort of this is going to be like a massage. We're going to give you the good feelings and we're not going to presume that you ever need to feel like, oh, wait a second. The narrative is taking me in a place where I am legit, even a little bit worried about the outcome of the story. Now, of course, all of this is a really interesting conversation to have in a lead up to The Bishop's Wife, which is not trafficking in great conflict.
No, it's not trafficking in conflict really at all.
Well, it's trafficking in emotional, a level of emotional consequence, but because of the kind of narrative it is, and because of the cast and the way it's directed, you are being told early on that this is a movie that is about reassuring you about human nature. And in fact, something very close to those exact words are spoken by Sylvester the cab driver. You guys have restored my faith in human nature, or the human kindness. It's a movie about, there is a problem at its heart. There is a thing that needs to be resolved, but it's resolved with such charming humanity that there's never a sort of that bitter tang of, oh, people are bad. It's like, no, this is a movie about people trying to be good, but they're fragile and they're scared and they're in difficult circumstances. And so you go along with it. I find this movie so reassuring and so comforting and so enjoyable and so funny and so heartwarming and sort of brimming with joy that it is one of my Christmas favorites.
And on this episode of the Kulturecast, I am still your host, much to the chagrin of at least two people out there in the world, Chris Stachiw, and I'm joined by my good friend all the way from Richard Haddam's Paranormal Bookshelf, your friend and mine. He programmed this entire month, Richard Haddam.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for letting me program this month. And I'm going to let you know right now, I am without objectivity when it comes to these movies. Well, let me restate that. I can objectively discuss all the movies we're going to discuss. But not really.
Yeah,
these are movies that I love unreservedly. Some I love more than others unreservedly, but I'm not here to harshly evaluate anything. I'm here to celebrate these movies and to hopefully introduce you guys, the listeners, to some stuff that you've never even heard of before that could quite possibly become your favorites, which is how I discovered some of these movies.
And yeah, on this episode of the Kulturecast, we're talking about a film I had never seen, to Richard's point, from 1948, though it came out right at the end in 1947, The Bishop's Wife.
Hollywood, California, and the studios where the distinguished pictures that bear the name of Samuel Goldwyn are produced. Such films as The Best Years of Our Lives, winner of 9 Academy Awards. It was in these very studios that we recently tried to make a trailer for a new and wonderful picture called The Bishop's Wife. You know what a trailer is. One of those little films you see at your theater which shows you scenes from some big picture that's coming soon. Well, we made the big picture, and it's on its way. But something happened to the little one. It was on the day we finished all work on The Bishop's Wife. The stars were on their way home.
Well, looks like it.
Yes, great job, Loretta.
Goodbye, Cary. It's wonderful working with you. Goodbye, David. See you very soon. Very soon, I hope.
Goodbye, David.
See you tonight.
Oh, that's right.
Whoa!
What about the trailer? Trailer?
Oh, I forgot all about it.
Well, they must be set up somewhere. Where are they?
Say 6. No, I think they're on 8, David.
8? Oh, yes, come on. Just a minute, folks. I'm sorry. Can't go in without a pass.
Oh, well, you see, we work here. That is, we just finished over there, now we...
All right, so you're finished. There's no one stopping you from leaving.
You don't understand. We still have to make the trailer. Well, I'm sure you wouldn't want to stop us from telling people about a great picture like The Bishop's Wife.
Have you seen it?
Well, no, not exactly, but...
Then how do you know it's great?
Well, we had a lot of fun making it, and that's always a very good sign.
Well, maybe so, but I'm new here. I don't know you folks, unless you got a pass.
I'm David Niven, and I play the bishop. And I'm Loretta Young, and I play the bishop's wife.
And I'm Cary Grant. I play... Oh, that's right.
Yeah, wait a minute. What's the matter?
Well, nobody's supposed to know what part I play until they see the picture.
Right.
Then what do you need of the trailer?
Well, we'd like folks to come in and see the picture. It's very fine, and it's quite the most unusual picture Sam Goldwyn has ever made.
Oh, yeah, it's full of surprises.
Oh, please.
Well, if you put it that way.
Thanks, officer.
I've got an idea.
What?
The Bishop's Wife is different. Let's keep it that way. Let's have no trailer.
David, a picture without a trailer?
No, that's it. Why take all the wonderful surprises out of it before people see it?
All right, sold. No trailer.
No trailer.
Oh, wait a minute.
Goodbye.
Oh, no.
To Richard's point, is a Christmas movie, which means it's Christmas movie season, folks, and we're talking about Christmas movies. That's what Richard wanted to do, was Christmas movies. So we're here. We're going to be talking about The Bishop's Wife. We're going to be talking about Elf. We're going to be talking about, I think at some point, a movie that probably even less people have seen than this movie, The Lemon Drop Kid, which I think is one that, again, I'm excited to watch, and Love Actually at some point, and Scrooge as well. Love Actually with your love. Actually, Susan will be joining us on that one. So,
Okay, good.
actually, Richard, we'll be talking about what a way to end the new year for me, at least. Jesus, I want to ask you, so this is part of your holiday roundup of things that you watch in this season. Is this movie? Yeah. Okay, so what's a movie that we're not going to be watching this month? That is,
Christmas Story.
Okay.
Are we talking about?
What is there to say about Christmas Story? Right,
Well, I mean,
there's always something to say, but it's just going to be our opinions at this point.
Well, it's just going to be, it's that Hallmark thing. Anyone listening to us talk about A Christmas Story is someone who loves A Christmas Story, and they would listen to us talk about our favorite scenes. And,
right.
And
exactly.
And much of what we talk about this month will probably play out that way if people are familiar with the movies. We're going to talk about the things that we love. It's interesting that you were talking about, I know stuff that obviously the wider audience doesn't know about, things you've gone through this year, and that it's been, emotionally a very tough year. And when Christmas rolls around, you sort of automatically go, oh, wow, last year I was working this job. I was with this person. I was, my circumstances were one thing. And this year they're another thing, maybe better, maybe worse, maybe the same. But you take stock at the end of the year, and Christmas is the holiday where you kind of look back. And then New Year's is the holiday where you look forward. And it's sort of the perfect end of the year ritual that you can go through and take stock of your life. And it's funny, I watched this, and I know the first time I watched this movie, it was Christmas season, like probably this week-ish in the year 2001. So if it's 2024, that means I have seen this movie 23 times.
Right.
And I can't say that about a lot of movies, but I know that after I watch it once, I've seen it every Christmas since then. So I've seen this movie 23 times.
I can tell you the movie for me that has been the constant, and we are not talking about it. I don't even know if you've seen it. Maybe you have. I would assume you've seen it. Have you seen The Santa Claus, the Tim Allen film?
Yes.
Okay. That's one that my family always watched. That's our Christmas movie. And probably for a lot of people of a certain age and generation, Tim Allen, 90s comedies, Disney, all kind of that strikes a gong. Tim Allen now, maybe not so much, but Tim Allen then, fine, whatever. Tim Allen just is Tim Allen, just don't be the guy who does cocaine with Tim Allen. He'll sell you out. That's what I've heard.
But once it becomes a family tradition,
I've seen the Santa Claus fucking 30 times. Yeah. At least yeah.
And you can make an argument for its relative quality on a million different levels, but
I'm not looking forward to watching the movie about the divorced dad this Christmas. Yeah. Now it has a little bit of a different feeling to it. Watching movies now as someone going through divorce, where divorce comes up is just it's I didn't think anything of it. Another Tim Allen movie, Jungle to Jungle, it's about a guy who's going through a divorce who goes out and finds out he has a kid with a woman in the jungle. And I'm can we not watch this right now? Maybe something else other than this, the 90s divorced dad movies.
Yeah.
That's it. You should have picked Divorced Dad December, Richard. That's what you should have picked. This wasn't Christmas movies. Picked divorced dad movies. The 90s were littered with Chevy Chase even did one. Man of the House.
In 2001, I was divorced dad. I was within a week of being divorced dad. When I watched this movie for the first time, it was probably
wild.
Within a calendar week of me sitting in a counseling session saying I want a divorce.
And I'm within a couple days of that now, watching this movie for the first time and talking about it with you. That's fucking wild.
Okay. Now for people who haven't seen the movie, it's not about divorce. Let me sort of describe what the movie is about so you know what's going on. Okay. So David Niven plays a man who has recently become bishop, an Episcopalian bishop. Okay. And the city is essentially New York, even though it's never explicitly stated.
It's the city.
It's the city. And it's and it feels very much like New York. So it's a good New York 1948 movie. Anyway, he's married to Loretta Young, who's an actress I don't know from any other movie except this one, and I love her. Now, what you get is that with this promotion has come a tremendous amount of pressure. So before, he was running a little parish, and they had a very happy life and little neighborhood, and they knew everybody, and they had a very happy life. But with this promotion, it's one of those things where it's suddenly like, oh, now there's all this stress and responsibility, and he has been tasked with gathering funds to build this enormous cathedral. And there's this very rich woman who's sort of, a very patrician, and she just wants all millions of dollars put into this cathedral to honor her husband. And, she's sort of the unpleasant woman that he has to somehow keep happy and satisfy because she's a big person in the Episcopalian church within which he works, and she is someone he must contend with. And so building this cathedral has been this albatross around his neck. Now, into this situation comes Cary Grant. He is an angel. He walks the earth. And in the time that we're watching the movie, he walks New York. He runs into Loretta Young first and notices her. And then, sort of like, oh, that's an interesting woman. She's attractive. Something about her sticks in his mind. Then in a separate scene later, David Niven, who plays the bishop, and this is all within the first 10 minutes, finds himself like he's just had a fight with Loretta Young, his wife, and he's just so worn down by what he's got to do, and he's so miserable, and he just prays for help. And Cary Grant shows up.
God, please help me, is what he said.
God, please help me.
Just help me. He doesn't ask for what. He just says, help me. Just help me.
Just says, help me. So Cary Grant shows up, and then the question of the movie becomes, well, what does David Niven want help with? Does he want help with building this cathedral, or does he want help repairing this rift that is developing in his marriage? Now, we're talking about David Niven and Cary Grant, so we're talking about two of the most charming human beings that have ever been filmed.
I love David Niven so much. David Niven, I know.
He's just delightful.
He's delightful. It's too bad it's this role because it kind of downplays how delightful he is by choice, but it's a very different role for him. But he is just like in everything. I love David Niven immensely.
And Cary Grant, of course, comes with his own,
First time I've ever seen him in anything.
Okay, I can't even get into that. So let's just proceed.
Just gloss over that one.
Let's just gloss over that. So Cary Grant shows up and is basically saying, look, I'm here to help you. But David Niven doesn't really believe that he's an angel and doesn't really know how to get help from him because he's got to go meet with people and try to get people to write checks. And so while he's doing all of that, Cary Grant is like, well, then while you're off working, I guess I'll go hang out with your wife.
Right.
And then he becomes this very charming sort of like, well, your husband's busy and I'm his assistant, so I'll just hang out with you. Now, this could go in so many unpleasant directions, and it never really does. It's just about how this guy, Cary Grant, kind of has, this magical dust that it exudes from him, and anyone he meets is charmed by him, and he has a way of making situations work themselves out. And it takes a long time before David Niven understands that his real problem is his marriage is kind of dissolving.
Right.
And without going into all the wonderful details of the plot, everyone learns a lesson and everyone learns about what is really important, including that woman who just wants millions of dollars to be put into a cathedral when really that money could be distributed among thousands of people to make their lives better. It's a very traditional Christmas movie, full of good feelings, full of charming, good humor. There's a snowball fight. There's a St. Bernard. What more do you want?
And Cary Grant. Oh boy. He is a good looking man.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Like I said, I had not seen him in anything before. Is this the good first thing to have seen him in? And not
Totally.
North by Northwest?
Well, yeah, I mean, you see North by Northwest. I would never tell you not to see
Never seen
another Cary Grant. Well, what's funny about this?
Just like Susan would say, the same thing about Jimmy Stewart. Oh,
Right.
Oh, Richard. Yeah. It's the same thing,
You can measure a circle starting anywhere. Just
Right.
jump in, start enjoying Jimmy Stewart, start enjoying Cary Grant. But I will say that the most famous story about this movie, and people have called it into question. People have said, well, that's not really true, but this part is true. There was another director who had started filming, and Samuel Goldwyn, the producer of the film, was not liking what he was seeing. So he fired the director, hired Henry Koster, who is the director of this film now. So he came on and he watched the footage that had been shot. But in the earlier version, David Niven played the angel and Cary Grant played the bishop. And Henry Koster said, oh, no. Cary Grant's the angel. David Niven is the bishop. We're going to switch those two roles. And apparently David Niven was fine with it, but Cary Grant was a little bit miffed because he's like, the movie's called The Bishop's Wife. I signed on to play the bishop, the title role in a way, not the wife, but the bishop. So he was a little miffed. But when you watch the movie now, it's very difficult to picture it any other way than what it is right now.
I can picture it the other way, but like I saw that anecdote as well, and like I was wondering if you were going to bring it up because I know you and I are both learned fellows. We talk about the Nobody Does It Better book constantly on the Bond podcast, so we do our research, folks. I can't imagine that version of the movie. Like I can imagine it, but I imagine it only because like it makes so many of the things in the movie that are essentially like, well, that's just a happy accident because you have Cary Grant playing the role instead. Like the fact that he walks away at the end. Like that makes way more sense if it's David Niven. And, because again, I'm not saying David Niven's not a good looking guy, but Cary Grant and David Niven are two different kinds of charming. And
yes.
Cary Grant, I think, is more traditionally charming. I think David Niven could charm the pants off of a naked man. You know what I mean? Like Sell Eyes to Eskimo. Same with Cary Grant. It's just, it makes sense because when you look at the promotional stuff for the movie, Cary Grant is front and center, even though he's the angel. And I could see it, but man, Cary Grant as the angel walking away from Loretta Young at the end, like that's a happy accident because it works so well. And it makes the story of the movie resonate that much more because then you really feel like the angel learns a lesson as well, which ends up kind of being the point of the movie.
And spoiler alerts, and even with our discussion, if you haven't seen the movie,
this movie's from 47. Right. 10 years is the statute of limitations on this podcast for spoiler alerts, brother.
There's nothing we could tell you about the plot that will make the movie any less enjoyable to someone watching it for the first time because so much of the charm is in the presentation. But
it's a holiday movie. It has a fucking happy ending. It's a holiday movie. What holiday movies, even the holiday movie that I call in contention of being a holiday movie, Die Hard, has a happy, it has a happy ending. Like, Happy Trails, Hans. That's a happy ending. So even that movie has a happy ending.
Even the Mothman Prophecies has a happy ending.
It does. And the consummate Christmas movie. Why didn't we watch that movie? This is your one opportunity to be like, wink, wink, I'm making it a modern Christmas classic.
Right.
I love that movie any time of the year, Richard.
What I was going to say is part of what makes this movie so touching and so gives it a little bit of emotional heft is that David Niven and Loretta Young, their marriage is very much, even though they're not, they're definitely upper middle class.
Yeah.
But there's something very real about the stress in their marriage. And David Niven is he plays a kind of a real guy. He's just like, I've got this difficult job where I've got difficult clients and a difficult boss. And so it's very relatable. And then the most beautiful man shows up and starts taking your wife out. There's a wonderful moment when David Niven really begins to worry that he's going to lose his wife to this angel. And he goes to Monty Woolley, and we got to talk about Monty Woolley. But anyway,
I remember you from Vienna.
Right. And
talk about your coastal elite.
He's like, I think that I'm going to lose, my wife, and I can't. It's an angel, and it's Cary Grant. What am I going to do? And Monty Woolley says, well, you have a distinct advantage over him. You're a man. He's an angel.
Yeah.
he is to a certain degree not flesh and blood, no matter what he looks or how he looks or what he does. And to see that moment where David Niven sort of puffs up, in his small frame, and he's like, I'll fight him, even though he'll rip me to shreds with his, preternatural metaphysical powers. I'll do whatever I have to do to save my marriage. And it's just such a great moment. And then, as long as we're doing spoilers, it is met with a heartbreaking scene where Cary Grant kind of loses his cool. And he says to Loretta Young, he's like, the facade finally falls. And he's not just the charming, in control guy. And he's like, I'm tired of searching. I'm tired of never being hot or cold, hungry nor full. I want to be a human being. And the way to do that is to be with you in a romantic relationship. And I feel like I want that. And she suddenly, it's such a small little thing, but she suddenly realizes, oh, this friendship that we've had can never cross a certain line. And she immediately goes, no, you have to go. And so what's happened is that his character has been the catalyst in the repair of this marriage. Once Loretta Young feels that something is threatening her marriage, she's like, no, of course not. I'm in love with David Niven. And David Niven, when he feels something is threatening his marriage, the same thing, Dudley the angel, he's like, I'll go fight this guy. But he doesn't have to, because he comes home, just all, full of piss and vinegar, and our friend has gone. And before you know it, they have both forgotten he was ever there. But Dudley's work is done. And it really is very poignant that Cary Grant then looks at this marriage and goes, well, I did my job. I put this marriage back together, and I didn't get the thing that I wanted. And he walks away. And it's so touching and so beautiful. And yet on no level, like, you're not sad for anyone. You realize that everyone ended up where they need to be.
And you said it's not a movie about divorce, but it is, because again, like, it ultimately comes down to the question of, where do you put your time and effort? And Loretta Young's character, when she realizes what is happening, and Cary Grant says it, he's like, this is heaven. Like, this being with you is heaven. Like, when she realizes what he's saying, like you said, like, there are moments in your life where that happens, and you can either lean into it or lean away from it. And if you're in a position where you're supposed to lean away from it and you lean into it, that's the other version of this movie that wouldn't make any sense. Because again, like, David Niven as the angel, it's not that I don't believe it, but like, I wouldn't believe it. It wouldn't be as poignant a moment. It wouldn't be as important a moment. It wouldn't be the moment that matters, which is, even with it being Cary Grant, she says no. Who more transcendently good looking at the time, other than like the fact that, like, when I watch this movie, when I say I've never seen Cary Grant in anything, seeing him in this is wild, because it's like it's like someone that good looking should never be able to exist for real. Do you know what I mean? Well, he's like, yes, transcendently good looking in a way people are not now. Maybe it's the black and white of it all that probably helps, but he's everything you kind of want in this kind of actor at this kind of time, and that's just not a thing the way it used to be. I'm not saying things could get good again. I'm just saying this is just not a thing anymore.
Well, we are seduced by Cary Grant as she is seduced by Cary Grant.
How could you not be?
And so when it becomes a legitimate threat, it is felt as a threat, because it does feel like, well, David Niven, like, again, good-looking guy, but in a lineup, you're going to choose Cary Grant. And then suddenly, as an audience member, you are like, uh-oh, wait a second now. Is the Cary Grant power going to be too much for everyone to deal with? But Loretta Young is like, no, I love my husband. I want to be with him. And you love her for that. And on a certain level, of course, that Cary Grant will be okay, because he's not a human being. So he will continue going on doing what he needs to do.
But it sucks.
And he learned something, though. Like I think in this movie, Cary Grant has never felt this way before.
No, that's the gist of that scene. Is this is the first time I have felt this way in a long time, if ever, which is like, I found the person who makes me want to stick around, because I've never wanted to stick around before. That's the gist of it. And like, isn't that what we all want? I mean, that's the thing. Like, that's why I said, like, when I read that story about David Niven playing the angel, I was like, it just wouldn't make any sense. Like, the poignancy of that moment has to be that this guy is, again, he's an angel, so he's effectively perfect. Like that's right. Like the concession is like he is a lackey of Jesus as opposed to a demon. He's an angel, which means he's all good. If demons are all bad, he's all good, which means even David Niven has a bad day. This guy doesn't. Like he's an angel. And yet Loretta Young goes, no. Like, and even that, she goes, no.
So on paper, the angel character threatens the marriage, but if David Niven is playing that character, do we feel the threat?
No.
Or are we like, well, of course, she's married to Cary Grant. She's not going to leave Cary Grant for David Niven. But in a weird way, you could see the opposite because Cary Grant is just so iconographic.
Right.
He's like a guy whose caricature you see in Hollywood restaurants.
Right. I have a picture of Clark Gable back here that's covered up. Like, it's the same thing. Like, Clark Gable and Cary Grant, like, you know who they are. Like, you could see a picture of them and be like, that's, it's like Humphrey Bogart. It's the same thing. It's like Jimmy Cagney. It's like Jimmy Stewart. Like, the same thing. Like, they are just iconically American actors. And, like, they have a look to them that there's an aura around Cary Grant in this movie. And it's, they're not doing anything. They're not giving him one of those, Eastern Orthodox, circles around his head, the halos with the fingers up. Like he looks it on his own. He just looks it. And it's just based on what? It's based on the fact that he's so good looking that when Loretta Young sees him, it's like, uh-oh, David Niven, you better be careful. But that's the great part about the story is like, ultimately the human spirit triumphs in the end over everything.
And there's something else that I know people have felt, and this is it's just baked into Christmas. We've all, for many of us, maybe most of our Christmases, we're also burdened by our jobs. Whatever your job happens to be, for teaching high school, you're put on the Christmas show and you're working up until December 20th.
Right.
If you're in the entertainment business, which I am, you're usually writing a script over the Christmas break. Those 2 weeks that's a time to catch up. The pressure does not abate. If you're in retail,
good luck.
Right. I mean, if you're in food service, hotel, all these various things where the Christmas season just means more work, and you're watching through a window other people enjoying themselves. And that's one of the things I love about this movie is that David Niven is like, I can't go out to lunch with my wife at the restaurant where I proposed to her, Michelle's, because I've got a meeting I have to go to and a presentation I've got to make. And by the way, can we just talk about that scene in Michelle's? Is there anything I love more than the interior of a low-ceiling, bustling, warm restaurant on a cold, cold New York day where they're just serving international cuisine and perfectly made cocktails in these little booths? I mean, I just want to live in Michelle's.
I love that. What I feel like is a lost thing? Wearing hat. I mean, hey, as a fan of Kolchak, right, baby? Like, you get it. Like, I miss people wearing hats. Like, and I'm not talking just like a fucking ball cap. Like, I was in Texas for the last 2 months, and the one regret that I have is I didn't go to the custom cowboy hat store and get myself a cowboy hat because I really want one. And like, I have too big of a head to just buy one off the rack. But now that I have long hair, I'm like, what's the one thing you do with long hair? Is you let it down and you put a cowboy hat on top of it, or like a flat billed hat. I'm like, I could totally rock it. And to your point, I love the emotions that this part of the world at this time of year conjures up, because there's nothing cozier than this, like, and like the waiter and the hats and the clothing and the suits and everybody's dressed. I mean, I don't know, like, it's such, like, again, I'm not asking to go back to the way things are, but I would love to live in this time and place, the idealized version of this time and place, because people were still fucking suffering in 1947. Jesus fucking Christ. Like,
that's why we watch these movies.
It's the idealized.
Well, we watch the Hallmark movies because we want to be in those environments with those people, sort of experiencing those fucking
2011s. I want to be in the 1947s, not the 2011s. Hallmark shit takes place in the now. That's the problem. Like, there's something about this that feels timeless. Like you said, like, it's New York. Like, the city is unimportant. The time and place is unimportant. I mean, this gets remade in the early 90s with Denzel Washington and Courtney B.
Yeah, I've never seen it.
Why would it be like Gilding the Lily? Like this movie is essentially perfect. Like, there's very little, if anything, wrong with this movie. Like, objectively, that's why it's a Christmas classic.
And you look, the argument can be made in both directions. There's been endless retellings of A Christmas Carol because it's such a durable story that it can be retold in various ways and still retain its power. I think this is also narratively there. It's a little bit more gossamer. It's a little bit more dependent upon the charm of the cast and the director and everyone behind the camera. So I haven't seen Preacher's Wife. I don't hear people talking about it, so I don't really feel like I'm missing out. It might have its charms.
It's Denzel Washington in it. There's no way it doesn't have its charms. Guy is the only reason people went and saw Gladiator 2, best I can figure out.
Yeah. So, but what I do love is I love the set design in this movie. I love the low ceilings. I love the over-decorated interior environments that all feel
the costumes. Come on,
everything feels like a little like it's not clean and spare. The bishop's office, there's too many lamps and too many books, but it feels cozy and warm in that way. Michelle's is packed. I mean, you just know that it's just everyone is just coming in with their shoulders covered in snow, and there's a candle on every table, and the waiters have the towel over their arm, and it's just perfect. And everywhere you go in this movie, you do have that feeling of, oh, I would love to be there. The ice skating sequence. I mean, is there a more graceful, transcendent, joyful, funny 5 minutes in film?
I know. Well, I mean, they do the Texas switch a lot in that scene. I'll tell you that much. There's a lot of Texas switches in that scene. They're shooting under the cover of the shadows, if you know what I mean. I was watching. That scene is great because of how well it's done for the limitations, because I know it's not Cary Grant. I know it's not Loretta Young, and I really know it's not James Gleason doing any of those. Because again, like when they start shooting from far away and you can tell it's a professional skater trying to look like they don't know what they're doing, it's more impressive than watching someone who doesn't know what they're doing do it. Like I'm sitting there thinking to myself, like, wow, like I'm impressed that you can make looking like you don't know what you're doing look so easy.
My favorite of that, what you're saying, is when we're back outside, sort of standing on the shore of the pond watching, and Cary Grant sort of skates away and then starts doing this whole routine. And of course, it's winter and these are just people, so they're wearing big high-collared coats and scarves, and so it's easy to hide the face. And he starts and he's doing and he's leaping and just the Olympic level stuff. And then he does that thing where you spin really fast, really in place, really, really fast, and then suddenly you stop, and then we cut in close as he just sort of turns and holds out his hand.
It's like, you would be a lot more exhausted, brother, than that. Like,
he's not dizzy at all. Well, he's an angel, so of course she's
you took the words right out of my mouth. Like, and doesn't Monty Woolley know that he's an angel, or what? So he's encountered Monty Woolley before. Is that what the deal is?
No. Monty Woolley, who plays the old professor, who's a humanities professor, and has been working on writing a history.
But he recognizes him.
Years.
He recognizes him, or is that just a put on?
No, it's a put on. It's a put on. Cary Dudley, the angel, comes up and says, "Oh, Professor, I was in your class. We had a conference together in Vienna." And Monty Woolley is doing that thing you do where you're like, "Oh, were you sure? Yeah, I remember you."
Monty Woolley's just too good at it. He got me to believe it too well.
No, but then later he's like, "Now wait a second. I've been thinking about this. You were never in Vienna. I don't know you at all." But later, when David Niven, who is the only person that Dudley the angel has said, "I am an angel" to, when he finally goes to Monty Woolley isn't really surprised at that point, because he's got the bottle that's been refilling with wine. He's been writing his history. I mean, look, there's just nothing that burrows its way into my heart more than the idea of Monty Woolley, who spent 40 years trying to write a book, hasn't written a page, and suddenly after one afternoon of drinking with Cary Grant, is producing pages like crazy. If that isn't my fantasy, I don't have a fantasy.
Yeah, and that's the thing, like, because I was thinking about this, and you mentioned, and I asked you, like, what are the movies you watch at Christmas time, right? And I think for me, and I think you might be inclined to agree as well, like, look, it's great to make a comedy that people remember, right? It's great to make an action movie that people remember. People remember Under Siege 2. It's great to make a supernatural movie that people remember. People remember The Mothman Prophecy. But to your point about some of these movies, like a movie that is a holiday movie, that is a holiday classic, is for me, in my mind, like the hardest thing to do. To make a genuine, like to make one, I don't think you make the holiday classic. I think it just becomes it. And like a genuine one, not just like, oh, this is some like cult movie that people love. I'm not discounting that. But you know what I mean? Like talking about one that's like broadly recognized as a classic. I don't think that Rankin and Bass thought that they had a classic on their hands. I don't know if they thought The Bishop's Wife was going to be a classic the way that it is. Or, you know, Christmas Story or stuff like that. Like you don't know.
No.
Or Elf. Like again, like, I mean, Elf is like the one where I'm just like, Elf has been out for 25 years.
It's crazy. Well, let's not. I mean,
I know, but I mean, but like,
let's not talk about.
I know, but my point being, like, it's not something you can do organic. And I guess it's probably not 25, it's 20 years for Elf. Like,
it's like any movie. Like,
I know,
everyone
but like,
tries to make a movie that's going to last. And when you make a holiday movie, sometimes there's a bit of a, you know, a crass incentive because you're like, well, we've already got a little bit of an advantage because it's a Christmas movie, so people will watch Christmas movie. But there's so many of them that have been made that you don't watch over and over.
But to be fair, like the ones when they hit, like I don't think that the intention was like, we're gonna make a classic. We're making a holiday movie, you know, and like it happens to be a classic. And, you know, one of my favorites, and I don't think, look, I love Jingle All the Way. It's not a great movie. But at the same time, like it for me is a holiday classic, like the Santa Claus. There are people that will watch Santa Claus and don't like it. I think to be a true holiday classic, it almost has to be transcendentally good. It has to transcend, like this movie is transcendentally good. It transcends quality because I think the message at the center of this movie is so important, and everyone who learns a lesson in this movie or has a message taught to them in this movie, those messages I think are so universal and important that while like I think Christmas movies kind of get away with being morality tales constantly shrouded in the guise of the holiday season, but like you said, with Christmas being the time to look back and New Year's being the time to look forward, and those being separated by what, a week? Like you have the opportunity to, like with A Christmas Carol, like with a movie like this, you have an opportunity to tell a story that kind of is timeless. And I don't know, this movie has a timeless quality to it that's like hard to argue with, Richard.
If you haven't seen it, listeners, please check it out. Yes, it is in black and white.
Yes, it is on Peacock.
It's
on Peacock TV. It's on Peacock TV. If you have Peacock TV for anything else, you could watch this too.
When I watched it for the first time, it was because my cousin Jan had just sort of offhand said to me earlier that week, "Oh, tonight's the night we watch The Bishop's Wife." And I'm like, "What? I think I know. I've heard of that. What is that?" And she said, "Oh, it's my mom's favorite Christmas movie. It's my favorite Christmas movie." And you know, her mom being my Aunt Sally. I mean, these are people who, you know, I've been very, very close to my entire life. And I'm like, that's so funny. That is one of those holiday movies I've never seen. Like some people have never seen White Christmas or It's a Wonderful Life, you know. And I was living on my own, and I'm like, oh, I'd like to see it. But when you're talking 2001, there are no cable channels where you're just going to go check it out. And unless you're just going to happen to catch it on channel 13, I was like, oh, I have to rent it. So I went to Blockbuster. They didn't have it. Then I went online looking to buy it. And for some reason, it was like $89 to get a DVD of The Bishops. I'm like, what? Like,
and now I have it running in the background while we do this episode of the show. Isn't that fucked? I mean, you know, great time to be alive. Lots of technology. We can watch movies while talking about them. Yeah, that's fucking horrifying. Just to think about it.
I ended up going to 4 different independent video stores until I finally found it. And then I watched it. And then I'm like, oh, I had seen it. I loved it. I returned the film. And it was another 2 or 3 years before I actually owned a copy, before another edition came out and suddenly it was only $29.99 or something. But now I've got all the movies that I watch in a special bin on DVD, so I don't need to worry about what day it's going to be on, although that was fun, and we'll talk about that later. But anyway, I urge the listeners, check out Cary Grant, David Niven, and Loretta Young in The Bishop's Wife, and then stick around all through December, because we're going to be talking about a handful of really beautiful, wonderful, very different movies.
Well, and that's the other thing I want to mention, before we bring this episode to a close. Like, that's the thing about this movie that I don't think anything else this month is going to have, right? Is like, this is a very specific kind of movie made at a very specific time. Like, everything else is a little bit more contemporary. Nothing else has Elsa Lanchester in it. The Bride of Frankenstein herself, which is the one weird thing in this movie. It's like, what in the flying fuck is she doing in this movie? But this movie, I mean, again, like the other things we're going to talk about, like Elf and stuff like that, there's a timelessness to them, but the timelessness of this movie is baked into it. It really is part of it. And like,
yes,
that's the thing for me that I really enjoyed about this movie is I feel like this will be one that I bring out to watch with people like my family, like genuinely, like, and I don't even know if they've seen it, but I think
that's so great. I'm so happy to hear you say that.
But that's the point. But the point is, like, the movie, I think, resonates with me so much because, again, like, even if it's like the personal issues of it all, like in me, again, like we've said, like some of the stuff in this movie can feel deeply personal at times, given the stuff you've dealt with or I've dealt with or people at the holidays deal with just in general. Like, you don't have to be going through divorce to feel shitty in the holidays. Like, the holidays are either, like you said, a great time or a bad time. And there's not really an in-between. Like, it's kind of good or bad at the holidays. Like, and like you said, like it's a time to reflect, but also at the same time, if you think about it, a year from now, I could be looking back on this going, man, I'm better off now a year from now than I was. And that's the thing with this movie is Cary Grant is ultimately there to, quote, provide guidance, unquote. But what it's really about, when you sit and think with the movie and give the movie the time that it wants and deserves, is the movie's about perspective. The movie is asking you to sit back and remember the perspective of things. Yes, we could spend millions of dollars on a cathedral, but ultimately it's not going to make as much of a difference as giving it to people in need, those in need who actually need. It's not going to do as much good. Just like not investing in your relationship with someone is not going to be as beneficial in the long term, as just running off with the angel is in this movie's parlance. Again, like David Niven and Loretta Young recommit themselves to each other because the perspective is when the marriage is threatened by Cary Grant, they both recommit themselves to the marriage because of the perspective that Cary Grant provides. And that's what the movie's about. Cary Grant is the perspective that the characters need, the guidance, quote unquote, as the movie. And that is a movie that is a holiday movie. Is it, like you've said, like at the end of the year, when we look back on things, often we look back on things to help make the path forward clearer. And that's what this movie's about. It shows Loretta Young and David Niven that, you do care about each other. Even if you are not able to have time for each other the way that you want, you do care. And that this woman is a good person, even if she wants to just give money to selfish things. And, the cab driver does have his faith in humanity restored. Like, Cary Grant makes a difference in everyone's life in this movie. And that's the thing. It's not about him doing anything other than offering perspective. And perspective at the holidays is I think, one of the most important things. Because a lot of the stuff we talk about, I think the rest of the stuff we're talking about this season is not going to be so much about perspective as in tuning other things about like the holiday spirit and family. But this movie's about perspective. And to your point, Richard, like, this movie does come at a very odd and interesting time in my life because I don't think I would be resonating with it as much if I wasn't dealing with the things that I'm dealing with, which is an oddly personal thing to say on a podcast where I've tried to keep my personal life out of it. Unlike your podcast, Richard Haddam's Paranormal Bookshelf, which, yes, by the way, is how we're going to be transitioning here in a second. So we're going to play an ad for the next episode of this show. Richard and I have more or less said, check this movie out. I think that's obviously, like Richard said, no objectivity this month. These are movies that Richard loves, so he's going to be suggesting you watch all of them. So let's take a break. We'll play some ads and a preview for the next episode.
From Weirding Way Media, Cambridge and Wishawn is a podcast about two guys' obsessions, passions, and hobbies. Those two guys are
Mark Begley, host of Wake Up Heavy, Recollections of Horror,
and Ronald Zerigian, host of the Skelevator YouTube channel.
Each month we talk about the toys, comics, movies, books, TV shows, and other cultural phenomena that captured our imaginations and helped shape who we are today.
From Masters of the Universe to Saturday Night Live, Star Wars to Harry Houdini, The Muppets to The Elephant Man, Ronnie and Mark dive deep into the recesses of their minds to pull out treasured memories of things lost but never forgotten.
Join us on the first Tuesday of each month over at weirdingwaymedia.com or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Join me, Jamie Benning, on the Filmumentaries podcast, particularly if you enjoy stories like designer Nilo Rodis Jamiro convincing George Lucas to push him around to help gain the support of his crew on the ailing Howard the Duck.
Blam! The door opens, it's George. Everybody gasps. George makes a beeline to me. I'm literally back against the wall.
Or hear puppeteer Tim Rose's emotional story behind that iconic Admiral Akbar shot in Return of the Jedi.
I believe that war is something to be proud of, but not to celebrate.
Or how Star Wars editor Paul Hirsch tackled cutting so many successful films.
The thing that I learned from working with De Palma is that tension depends on a clock. You need to have the sense that time is running out.
Maybe Oscar-winning sound designer Mark Mangini's insightful chat about his work on Blade Runner 2049.
Not a single sound from the original Blade Runner in the new film. A great deal of inspiration.
That's the Filmumentaries podcast with me, Jamie Benning.
Hello, Twisted Humans. Do you find yourself wanting to know more about the latest murder, conspiracy, cult, or haunting? Then this is the podcast for you. In 1952, there was a record high of UFOs reported. 1,500 sightings. There has been evidence of human sacrifice, devil worship, and it is haunted by more spirits than can be counted. A family of 2 adults and 2 kids reportedly saw a giant flying thing with glowing red eyes. And meanwhile, the family's nanny that helped Veronica to care for her and Lucian's children was found bludgeoned to death in the basement of their family home. I'm Alicia. And I'm Sierra, and this is Twisted and Uncorked.
Is the greatest picture I have ever made. And I've got the angle on the trailer. Boys, we've got to get across to the public that that picture has everything. Why, it's hilarious. It's romantic. It's tender. It's charming. It's delightful. It's exciting. And it's groovy.
Yes, Mr. Schaefer.
That does it, boss.
Mr. Schaefer, you've got a great idea.
Naturally. Now, I'll tell you what we do.
So that's right. On the next episode of the Kulturecast, we are going to be talking about Miracle on 34th Street from 1947. Technically the same year that this movie came out. So a good year for Christmas classics. Another movie I have yet to see. And scheduled to appear on that episode are Dr. Will Dodson and Dr. David Perlmutter, both people who are actual academics. So Richard, you and I are about to be outclassed, baby, by some of those academic types. Uh-oh.
Good.
I know.
School us up.
I know. Show us a thing or two. So speaking of that, Richard, when people aren't here joining me and you this month to program the entire month to talk about movies, where can people find you and your assorted works?
They can find me on Richard Haddam's Paranormal Bookshelf. That's my podcast. Anywhere you get a podcast, you can get that one. I talk about paranormal books, one book per podcast, but it's also intertwined with a story of my life, something that's happened to me, a memory. So it's a sort of a secret diary, a little trip down memory lane, but it's a lot of fun. So check it out.
And as for me, you know where you can find me on this show every episode, aside from like 2 I've been a part of. And yeah, weirdingwaymedia.com is the network that I started with our friend Mike White, who you and I talk about James Bond with once a month on Rankin' on Bond, which is a James Bond podcast you can't find anywhere but at our Patreon, which is $10 a month. $10 and higher, you get access to Rankin' on Bond. Once a month, you hear us talk about James Bond. If that's the thing you're into, cool. If not, I totally get it. Speaking of misogyny, James Bond is the purveyor of misogyny. Richard. Octopussy. There's 8 of them, Richard. How dare he? But yeah, that's where you can find us. That's where you can find me. Richard, thank you so much for joining me, and buckle up because we're talking once a week for the next 5 weeks. So
we're talking a lot. I can't wait. Perfect way to spend the holidays, man, with you.
I totally agree. And as always, we'll catch you on the next episode.